Blake, when I drug you and you wake up in a different country, which one would you prefer it be?
I can't wait to go to a luau.
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your co-host, Blake, a man who can't wait for Toby to magic me to Hawaii, and I'm here with my co-host who has been gatekeeping his powers of teleportation, Toby Walters. I almost said gatekeeping. I meant gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping, sure. You are the gatekeeper. Apparently, I am the gatekeeper. So I'm sure all of our audiences picked up that Hawaii is not another country. It used to be another country, but it is no longer.
For my Travery.
I
ate a snack in between podcasts, and the phlegm is incapacitating me. That's too far for me. Hawaii is international for my travel tolerance.
Now you realize I could drug you and just drive you across the border into Canada. You'd never have to get on a plane, but to go to Hawaii, which is not a separate country, you'd actually have to fly there or take a ship.
All I heard is drugs. I'm in. Let's do it.
And I'm a little concerned that maybe you don't know that Hawaii is a separate country, since we just recently had a podcast where we talked about the halftime show and you thought that people from Puerto Rico speak Portuguese.
Yeah, well, Stephen Lopes texted me and said that you messed up the languages too. So I'm not the only one that only speaks English.
So I just think this would be awesome to drug you and just have you wake up somewhere and figure it out. So
I'm putting that in the Church Gear quotes note.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be awesome to drug you.
Yes. So have you ever traveled internationally?
I've gone to Canada once on foot. On foot.
Okay. Did you fly to the place in which then you walked to Canada, or did you just stay in the car the whole time?
I think I drove this whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have been, I've been to Canada. I've been to Mexico. Many times, because I grew up in San Diego. Like, Mexico was 30 minutes away from San Diego.
How much did you have to pay the cartel to come back to America?
Different times, man. Different times. I know just recently, 2 days ago, like, cartel violence and everything broke out. Very different times when I was growing up. But growing up, I also went to Japan twice. And that was a wild experience. Just seeing such a different culture. It was really cool. We were treated like royalty. The Japanese culture is a very kind and welcoming culture. And so it was really cool to be like 10, 11 years old and then just like received as royalty.
I wish you would have learned something from them, Toby. You could have brought some of that kindness back.
There was a time on that trip where, because it was my dad helped teach international students from an all-girls school in Tokyo. They would come over and my dad and mom would do like language lessons and American history stuff. And it was part of an exchange program.
Ain't that kind of awkward to do American history with the Japanese? Hey, remember that time we blew you to sky high twice?
Tiptoe around some subjects. But when we went over there, we were being hosted by the school. They were such gracious hosts. And then we got to tour the school. And there are no blonde humans in Japan. Like, blonde hair is not a thing.
No way. They dye their hair over there too.
Well, as far as natural.
Okay, sure.
I'm a 10-year-old boy and I am as blonde as can be back then. And I have a picture where I'm surrounded by these girls at school that are just reaching out, wanting to touch my hair because they had never seen blonde hair in real life, let alone touched it.
And Toby had never had a girl want to touch him before, so he was so excited.
I can't wait to go see. I want to go see a lot of countries on Earth. I'm very excited to do that. Probably after my kids launch, because I don't want to drag my kids around Europe.
Oh, I'm also going to do that after Jesus comes back. I'm going to fly with Jesus to it's new heaven, new earth. That's my travel plans.
I mean, if teleportation was in play, would you just go visit anywhere?
Of course.
You're not so worried about being murdered in London. You're just worried
for sure. They do a lot of stabbings in London.
But you're more terrified of the flight to get there.
The flight. And then if I could teleport, the moment they start stabbing me, just teleport out.
Yeah.
You know?
And then my niece just recently, this last summer, married a South African, which is really cool. And so she marries a South African who is part of the American Air Force, which is fascinating. He's a plane repair technician. So they get stationed in Missouri. And then this last week, they flew to South Korea because they got restationed there. So now, like, my whole family, not Shell and I, but like the rest of our immediate family is all going to go to South Korea this summer and see him. It's a big world, but it gets really small now that we can fly everywhere if you're willing, Blake. But
I mean, in that way, flying is almost like we invented teleportation.
Yes,
if you think about it, like when you go from Orlando to Nashville in an hour of physical time, That's teleportation.
And I was thinking just yesterday, if you fly across the US, you are flying over many opportunities to land if something goes wrong. But if you fly across the ocean,
you're dead.
You're dead. That's it. So, as you like to say, you have a 1 in 1 chance of dying with dangerous things around you. So that's probably why you don't get on that flight.
Exactly. And someone that would never die when flying because God has gifted him with immortality, the former production leader at Morletta Church in South Africa, Estian Els. Welcome to the podcast, the Church Gear podcast presented by House Ride. Welcome.
Estian, did you like how much Blake struggled with those pronunciations?
I did. It was quite funny. It's it's pretty good.
Well, clearly, I'm not very traveled, so I don't know how to pronounce things.
Now, Blake, I did tell you 30 minutes ago that there are 2 different languages spoken in South Africa. Do you remember what they are?
Not English and also not English. I'm not a cultured swine.
Look, we've got about 11 official languages in South Africa.
Now, is it mainly English and Afrikaans?
Sure. No, it's actually a bigger community. Look, I don't want to offend anyone by saying this. I'm not too sure, but we've got 11 languages, which I speak Afrikaans, English, and, a little bit of here and there. I can understand Zulu a little bit as well.
Okay.
But it's you pick stuff up as you go. And
Can you say something?
Got a wide variety.
Say something rude about Blake in Afrikaans.
No, I'd rather not.
Also, I love that we're 2 for 2. Toby tried to school me on the podcast, and you were wrong too. There's 11 languages, not 2.
But those 2 are spoken.
We've got rude and then we've got like extremely rude. So I'd rather not do that. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Estian, there are several accents in the world, which I feel like, at least in America, we just immediately adopt as we love it. I know British, Australian, I feel like South African as well. What do we sound like to you? Do you think, they have an American accent? Like, I've never turned it around.
Look, you would pick up American accents very quickly with us. I mean, I was very fortunate. I lived in the States for 2 years. And after coming back, I was kind of into it, and I started adapting to your, the accent, and I started getting that kind of a role and American sound, and it was quite funny because people immediately is like, okay, well, this guy's American.
Yeah.
Well, which state were you though? Which state were you in? Because some of us talk like this.
I was actually in Anchorage in Alaska for about a year. Spent some time there, and then I was in Aspen, Colorado for a little bit, and I spent some time in Fort Collin in Colorado as well.
Nice. And do you ever use the term bro?
I do. We like to use that as well. Yeah, so it's pretty common here in South Africa.
Love it.
Or bra.
And bro,
so nice. Equivalent of bro is bra. So that's kind of what we call it. I know it sounds weird, but that's what we call it.
And bro, right now it's 2:11 here. So I'm just curious, what time is it for you? It's 2:11 p.m. where we're at.
So it's 10 past 10 in the evening.
Oh,
so it's
not too bad. It's a little late, but yeah. And
that's good, man. That's when we come alive, I guess.
And we met our bro or bra Estian at FILO last year. You flew all the way from South Africa to join us at FILO. And so this is just a shout out to all of our listeners. If you don't go to FILO, you are missing out on the opportunity to meet people in your backyard or across the earth to connect and production leaders around the community. Yeah,
and Estian, flew all across the world. He didn't make an excuse. So don't you make an excuse either to miss FILO.
That's right. Estian, give us a little snapshot in your background. How'd you get your start in tech and production? Up to, what led to your role at Morletta and what you're doing today.
Cool. So I guess it's growing up in a house, my parents are both they were missionaries, and they used to do a lot of work in the local church, South Africa. And I kind of grew up, I think at about the age of 14, I just walked into the church and there was this big Soundcraft, like the Spirit 8, I think it was back then, nice. Big analog console. And I just thought, man, this is like the Starship Enterprise, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was keen to get into it and to learn how these things worked in church production, and just trying to find my place as a youngster in church. I wasn't really into the youth stuff. I was like, I love the buttons and the lights, and that's it. I think that's kind of where it started out for me. From there, it grew pretty quickly. I've been quite involved with church production stuff, but also secular stuff. I've been fortunate to travel with a whole bunch of bands and their production as well. I've met a bunch of amazing American people as well along the road. But just a quick overview. I started touring. I did my first international tour when I was about 17 with an artist called Eagle Eye Cherry. I don't know if you're familiar with him. But yeah, toured with him a bit, did a bunch of local tours, and I started getting into the band thing, worked in the band, but always in church, somehow involved in church, whether it was like Sunday production or, so yeah, toured around a lot, got to work with a lot of secular bands. I've done production work with here locally in South Africa with bands like Bon Jovi, Deftones, Metallica. I've done a lot of worship stuff as well. We've been involved with Bethel tours. I've got to meet, I think his name's Clint. He works for Sweetwater now.
Clint All.
as well. Yeah, great guy. Did a run with him with Bethel here. Worked with Corey Edwards as well on Jesus Culture.
Yeah.
Did a run here as well with them. But anyway, so got into that stuff, did a whole bunch of production work, but always involved in church somehow. Sundays, at the local church, anything from like 800 capacity churches all the way up to like the bigger stuff, that I was recently still involved with. So, I worked I started in a church called Liberty Church here in Randburg, South Africa. It's about 800 capacity church. Amazing community. Started looking into like just how to connect the tech and the community, how to get the word across, and live streaming became a thing. And so I was very involved in that church for about 6 years as a volunteer primarily. And things just grew for me, and got picked up in a situation where I was called to a church called Moraleta Church. Oh no, Mosaic. Sorry, Mosaic Church, which is also a church here in Randburg. It's a 3,000 capacity church, and I mean they were struggling a bit with their tech at the time, and just had a very old acoustic system in there. And they were really struggling because that church had an amazing model. They had like a rental kind of model where I'll get to that a little bit later. But worked there for about 4 years, got them up and running. We installed a new system. We did a whole bunch of LED walls everywhere. I mean, consoles, the works, lighting. And went from there into a bit of distribution again. Worked with an amazing company. From there on, I moved, got called again back into church. It's funny how I always kind of go out of it and then kind of just get pulled back in again.
Yeah.
So worked with, ended up at a church called Moraleta Church. So Moraleta Church is one of the bigger churches in South Africa. It's a 7,000 capacity church. I know in the States that's not massive, but it was modeled after Willow Creek, where I met you guys.
Yeah.
And so it's very similar to that. It's a little smaller in capacity, but the church was also going through a rough time with tech and just getting everything up to standard. And they pulled me in, and I was there for about 2 years. I was a technical director there, and it was an amazing time. I mean, we got a great time. The leadership there is amazing. The pastor, which you've met, Theodore van der Spey, it's a great person. And it was actually it was a great experience to go to FILO with your lead pastor, which is a young guy, and he was open, and we came back, and I remember sitting on the plane because we had like a 17-hour flight back we went from Chicago to Atlanta, and then there was a 17-hour flight back. And we had this discussion. I was like, he says, I finally understand your world. Like it's making sense now. And I think that was one of the big breakthroughs for me there. But recently, because I live in Johannesburg and the church is in Pretoria, I had got an opportunity to move to a distribution company which is called Planet World. which where I'm currently at. Great company. We distribute JBL, Shure, Layard, It, and multiple other brands into the African market. And I just got to the point where I felt like I could really serve church on a different level by, getting product and the right product out to church and getting solutions to them. Because the church market here, it's difficult. It's not an easy one. But yeah, very happy, and that's kind of in a nutshell. I can keep you busy with the life story for about 10 hours, but that's pretty much the long and the short of it.
Did you say your pastor went with you too, Philo?
Oh, we're going to get to that, Blake.
That's such a life hack. I've never thought about that.
I know. Don't dive in yet.
Okay.
I want to have this whole conversation.
I cracked the code, gentlemen.
Take your pastor to Philo.
That's right. So, Estian, here in America, I'll say myself, but I think oftentimes Americans, we have very limited scope. We think we run the world and everything cool is happening in America, and we don't have a context for what's happening in other countries. You were recently at Moraletta Church, 7,000 seat auditorium based on Willow Creek. And whoa, these kind of churches exist in other countries? Oh my gosh. And so, talk to us about Moraletta specifically. What was the tech you guys had, as far as consoles and PA and LED, like what were you guys using tech wise, and what was your team like?
So when I arrived, as part of this whole thing, so Moraletta and a lot of the churches, I'm just going to throw this in there so it gives you a little bit more context. So a lot of the bigger churches recently, it's come up, and it's a thing that kind of was birthed out of Moraletta Church in the Afrikaans culture. So it also doubles as a rental venue because, hey, we in South Africa, we have to be smart about how we go about it because, financially it's always difficult with these things. And if you have a big church like that, you need to drive it. There's costs to it, and we put together a business model to actually rent out the church for other events, which was, events that we would either, worship events or whatever it may be. But anyways, so when I joined the team, it was kind of to help manage that and also the tech side of it. So Moraletta went through quite a rough time with COVID. We lost a lot of members, and it was tough, because a lot of people started getting used to online church where I can sit on YouTube and I can watch Elevation, or I can watch Hillsong, or I can watch, Gateway, or whatever church you wanted to watch on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I said it. It kind of, I wouldn't say, but it hurt the community a little bit. So when I joined Moraletta, we were running, we had a old JBL system in there, a VT4888 system, which, man, it was rough. I won't lie. But it ran, we got it up and going. We were running some, I think it was Soundcraft VI 3000s, or no, VI 600s at the time.
Okay.
What they were 6s, were upgraded to 600s. Bunch of, QLXDs, they were quite decent. PSM, in-ear systems, but again, like I said, it's we in South Africa have to make do with what we've got.
Yeah,
it's you would find. So after I spent some time there. We've recently upgraded quite a bit. There was old projectors in the church, so we went to LED walls on the sides. That was kind of the first big upgrade we made. So we installed those. And then from there on, we did a bunch of upgrades on microphone side of things, but also quite a big video upgrade. We wanted to push the broadcast quite hard because, it's our streaming side of things was pretty important to leadership at the time. So we redid all of that with Blackmagic. So we got a bunch of Blackmagic equipment in there, some new cameras, some of the 6K Pro, 6K Studio, cameras. We got some of them in there, and we started working our way up to that. But today the church is doing really well. We the last thing we did just before I left, we installed a Ravage PM5, which kind of took it to another level. It's interesting. It's when like I said, we're in Africa, man. This is where real men come to die. You have to make it work, yeah. You really have to make it work.
What's the reality of getting gear in Africa? Because I mean, I think we take it for granted in America. We think about the cost, but it's not a problem to get the gear if we can afford it.
Well, clearly he can get it, Toby. He's got a lot of gear, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. So yes, I think the thing is we do have great distribution down here. It's grown a lot. Let's say it's grown a lot over the last couple of years. We actually just came back from ISE. I don't know if you're familiar with ISE, but it's it's like a big trade show in Europe, and that's where we meet with a lot of our manufacturers and product, company. And so yes, it is now a little bit more accessible to when I started out. I think really there wasn't much out here when I started out. I mean, JBL was kind of market leaders here for a very long time in our district, and Soundcraft did really well here. I mean, I've toured the world and I've never seen so many Soundcraft consoles in my life like in South Africa. It's just like whoever brought them in was just like coining it. He made a massive discovery into the digital console world. And so you can find VIs literally under a bush outside my house.
The sound of Africa.
The sound of Africa, indeed. Yes, it is. I mean, if you go to the States and you see churches like Willow and Gateway, and we recently did a tour through Houston as well. And we got to see Watermark Church, if I'm not mistaken.
Is in Dallas.
Yes, Dallas. Sorry, my apologies. Dallas. We got to see there's an amazing the front of house. There's a lady there that makes the front of house.
Yep. Becca.
Anyway, Becca. Yeah.
Toby, how do you know everyone? This is crazy.
She was amazing, and I mean, she took us through the whole church. And the one thing I must say about American churches is you'd rock up here, and we didn't have an appointment with anyone, but we just rocked up there, and the production teams would be so friendly to us, and like, yeah, man, we'll take you, we show you all our stuff, and see all these amazing things that you never get to see. I know it's been real. So I hope that answers the question. But it is. Gear is a bit more accessible now.
And, in America, you said 7,000 seat auditorium. There are some, there's not a lot that are that big, but there are a lot of churches that have, 2,500, 3,000, 4,000 seat auditoriums. How rare is that though in South Africa?
Man, again, like I said, because we've got so many different languages and cultures in our country. I mean, we've got a lot of like Nigeria, which is just not too far from, well, it's not around the corner, but it's not too far from it. They just built a church called the Hand of God Cathedral. Mm-hmm. I think that's 120,000 seater capacity, if I'm not mistaken. You can go check it up. I actually checked it up earlier today, and they still building that thing, but it's not uncommon. I mean, I've heard of churches now going up in the DRC, or not DRC, but like up in Africa where it's like 30,000 to 50,000 capacity easily.
Yeah.
So it's in South Africa itself, 7,000 is pretty big. I would say there is one or two other churches that can get close to that, but it's like anything between 3,000 to 5,000 where you can get some churches. But there's a couple around here that's pretty big.
What's the culture of recruiting volunteers to your tech team? Is it difficult to find people that are interested in production there? Is it a common thing that, is run through the community? Or
I think it also depends on kind of the culture of the church, where they are, what denomination, and because there's some churches where, it's where student communities. I mean, we were just busy with a church now last weekend in a smaller city called Potchefstroom, where there's a lot of students, there's a university, and I mean, they've got a lot of volunteers. I've never seen so many volunteers in my life. And then you'll get to other churches where it's a little bit of an older congregation where you do struggle. People are a bit scared, and you have to kind of recruit and have these volunteer evenings and feed them and, beg them to come and help. But it's not easy, but I do think some of the younger churches with the younger generation, it's started to kind of pick up, where guys really are invested and the younger generation really love what we do, and they love the lights and the whole idea behind the loud music and all of that stuff. So I think it's grown a lot. It's grown a lot, and it's become easier over the last couple of years to recruit volunteers. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Blake, let's talk about taking your pastor to FILO. Like, that was the most brilliant life hack. Whose idea was it to go together to FILO?
So we were looking at a new sound system for the church, and at that time, I went to ISE to go and meet with some manufacturers, and we spoke about some stuff, and everyone's like showing me all these things, but I'm like, it's great, but I need to hear it in the church.
Yeah.
Like, it's great putting it up here in a little tiny room and going, yay, whatever. I need to hear it in the church. I need to experience it. That's kind of what we're going at, because I mean, in a 7,000 seater capacity church, you're looking at anything between 15 to 25 million rand.
Yeah.
Spend on a sound system. I mean, that's a lot of money. So anyways, we got invited out to FILO, and I was like, hey, it's a great opportunity to take our senior pastor at the time, and he's a little bit old. He's maybe 2 years older than me. So still, I'm hoping. I'm still a young guy. I feel in my heart. But so we took him. I took him with, and I said, well, let's go and experience this. And I think the best thing about that was not just what we were there to achieve, is to listen to the sound system, but his interactive. Sorry, guys, I lost the video on you there.
Yeah. Sorry, we're replacing a battery in one of the cameras. So
welcome to a 2 podcast day where our cameras fail us. The gear does matter.
But you're good. Keep rolling.
You're good. Keep going.
Oh, good. So basically I just made this decision. We took him along, and I think it was the best thing I've ever done in any form of church I've been involved with. I think, like I said, we were on the plane back, and it was like, we sat next to each other, and he looked at me. He's like, I understand your world. I understand why it's difficult. I understand the turnaround times. I understand, and it helped so much with my, helping with my vision and the dream that God has put on my heart, and what we had dreamt for the church, and especially Moreleta itself, is to get him there so he could actually, I mean, he attended all of the breakout sessions that we could. We split up into two different breakout sessions. And I mean, we spent so much time at the church, just looking at the volunteers, how they operate, how people enter and exit. I mean, Willow's got an amazing, setup in the way that they do things in different cultures with the Hispanic services that they host. And so we spend so much time there, and it was just an amazing experience. So I think if you do advice for anyone out there, if you really want to get your senior pastor on your side, take him to FILO. It really helps. And I mean, then we met you guys, and he was super excited about the technology out there and how we can build on that. And so that's definitely one of the best things I'd done in a very long time, was taking with me there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And not every pastor is going to be willing to go to FILO. Like, it's just the reality.
And tell that pastor that this guy flew 17 hours. So what's your excuse?
Yeah. You get your pastor in Indiana. He's like, I don't know. It's a little bit far. I got some, but yeah. Yeah, Estian got his pastor to take a 17-hour plane ride to FILO.
And if your pastor's not willing to do that, Toby, you've talked about ride-alongs.
Well, also, we talked about drugging them, and they just, wake up at FILO. That's another option.
You could drug your pastor. That's not low on the decision tree. A couple things before that. If they won't go to FILO, you've talked about this, like, see if you and your pastor could swap days, where, like, you spend a day with your pastor, you see how his day is.
Yeah.
He spends a day with you. Like, that doesn't require a flight.
And I also love, Estian, you're talking about, you guys went to Dallas as well, saw different churches. Yeah. It doesn't have to be Dallas. Dallas is an easy option because there's so many giant churches, but even just going and visiting other churches and getting to see how they do production, if you can get your pastor to ride along. What were, as far as you remember, what were some of those eye-opening moments for your pastor to understand your world? What were some of those specifics?
I think the reality is of what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of pastors just kind of employ tech people, and they're like, yeah, man, this is just another guy. And I'll be very honest and open about this. And it's just to some of them, and this is not ill-mannered in any way. It's just not their world. They don't understand it, but it's just another guy. It's just the guy that pushes the buttons that make the sound go.
Yeah.
And I think what this really showed him is the level of production in the States is second to very little, and also what goes on behind the scene, like a church like, Willow, that has a full-time sound engineer, where in my case, I would have to do everything from, front of house, or mix, lighting, sometimes even play in the band, if that's what it required. There's a lot that goes on. And I think what really opened is, and another thing that we both saw there is like, our worlds are not that different. We all struggle with the same thing when it comes to, getting the right volunteer in the right position and getting them trained up and having a system that's, foolproof, where a volunteer that, could be, a lawyer or an architect during the week, just walk in and it's simple enough for him to understand and make that happen. And I think it opened his eyes also to what technology is out there. To them, it's like, if you talk about it, and this is one of the big things, we spoke about speaker manufacturing and stuff like that, and the differences. And we went into some of these breakout sessions, and he's like, I just thought it was like a speaker and a piece of wood, like in a box. I was like, well, yes, but it's not as simple as that. It's a lot more to it,
Yeah.
And what we're able to do these days with modern technology and PA systems and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it did open his eyes to what's out there, and also that the struggle is real for a lot of our production managers in the field. And so yeah, and it actually helped him with, when we got to the point where we were like, okay, we need to upgrade X, Y, and Z. He could understand now, okay, we really desperately need a new front of house console. And it helped me getting to the church board, and I had more support on the church board. Say, hey guys, like, I've seen this firsthand. I understand why we need to go in this direction.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the big, wins for me of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just at AES, Audio Engineering Society, did an event. They do it every year in Nashville. And I was there and connecting with a bunch of friends in the manufacturer space. And D&B, we're good friends with them. And they have one of their speakers that they have one side is plexiglass, so you can see all the engineering built into it. And I like to give them a hard time. I say, oh, you guys just refurbished an old Vertec. That's what it is. And, we're just joking. But if you look at the engineering involved in that, like, yeah, it's not just a box of wood with a speaker in there. There is fantastic engineering involved in that. But I love what, you said. Now you had kind of a voice and an understanding and an advocate for your church board. And it's amazing to think that production spends more money in the church than almost oftentimes any other ministry. But then the lead pastor often doesn't have an understanding of what that money is even buying. I love that you guys had that trip together to have all of a sudden this mutual understanding. Oh, this is why we need to spend millions of dollars. Man, I wish every tech could have that experience. I know it's not everybody's experience, but definitely. It's just so great.
But I mean, it was easy to convince him to go. I mean, we South Africans, we love American food. Well, we almost every time we go there, we get ill because we eat so much of the, we just have like Wingstop, and there was one, what was that thing called again? But anyways, it was just like this amazing experience. I mean, we got to see so many things, and we actually took a trip to Wheaton College as well, which is kind of amazing. So we got to go walk around there. He's quite a serious academic himself. So there was a lot of perks to the trip and taking there. So I had to make it, we had to sweeten up the deal. Yeah. But no, man, definitely. If you can get your pastor to go out there and experience that, and he'll understand your world a lot better, and you'll have a lot more support from the top. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to us just a little bit about the spiritual climate in Africa. You talk about the Hand of God church in Nigeria, 150,000 people. Is that representative of the whole of Africa? Is South Africa very different political or spiritual climate?
We don't talk politics on the podcast, Toby.
Sorry. Spiritual climate than the rest of the continent, or what's the spirit doing in Africa?
So yeah, it's been moving. Hey, it's growing. we have such amazing communities of churches around, especially South Africa, and people. There's a big revival. There's a big movement. We've recently had we have some community churches in Pretoria that has like done amazing work. But spiritually in Africa, it's moving. I mean, like I said, is you'll experience God in a different way in Africa, 100%. Like you will understand you will understand where people would walk 2.5 hours to go to church on a Sunday morning. Like that's the reality of what we have here. And it's maybe not like that in South Africa, but I mean, with my parents as missionaries, I recall as a youngster, we'd go out to these smaller tribes and my parents would like build these churches. And I mean, there's communities that have never seen, white people. To be honest, they've never seen white people, and where there was a small community I remember, which was next to the Kruger National Park, and I mean it was borderline. And some of these people had to chase lions out of their like villages, and elephants and stuff, and they get to the church on a Sunday and there's like a massive snake, on the doorstep of the church, and like it's just the reality. But I mean, God is really moving in Africa. Especially Africa, and like I said, is you will experience God in a different way. Yeah, I can definitely assure you that.
He did say that Africa is where real men go to die. So snakes, lions, and
so Blake,
elephants.
If you go there, you'll clearly live.
You beat me to it.
No,
So maybe I'm immortal in Tennessee and in Africa.
Obviously. I feel like,
but sorry.
I think we need to have international FILO come to South Africa.
Yeah.
And so all of America can go experience, what the Spirit's doing in Africa. We could do a tech conference over there.
And before you get on the plane, fun. Toby will give everyone one drug. You get one drug, and then one drug
17
gets you.
hours, you might need 2 drugs.
Toby will give you 2 quantity of drug, and you'll get the flight over.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. You definitely. If you want to, the Africa is. I mean, you see a lot of things in the media and what Africa looks like, and it's crime and all these things. And you know what? It's a safe place. It's a good place to come and experience. It's phenomenal. It's the best place on earth. I mean, I've toured the world. I've been fortunate enough to travel quite a lot, and man, every time I get to these places and I enjoy it, but like after a couple of days, I just want to come home, man. It's like we live the life. We get to experience the most amazing of nature and church and God here, and it's next level. So you guys are always welcome.
Is there anything that you think the African church does really well that other churches should be paying attention to? Like, oh man, we should go learn this. We say all the time in the States, go talk to the church across the street. They might be able to teach you something. Is there something you think the American church could be missing out on that we should really take from our African brothers in Christ?
I actually do. I think that the commitment to church, like the community, being part of the community is second to none. I mean, the way that people look after each other here it's not just a Sunday thing. And hey, man, I'm going to church on a Sunday, and then Monday I'm back to my old habits and do what I do. People take it really serious here, and they really are part of the community. I mean, we've got smaller community churches literally up the road here from our house where people look after each other. I mean, even people in other churches that they really look after. Say for instance, we kind of live it. If I can call it that, live the thing of like caring for each other, looking after each other, looking after my neighbor and his things. And so that's one thing that I've noticed here is and compared to the rest of the world. And I'm not, just picking on America for that, but yeah, here people are really into it, and they really care for each other. I think that's something that the rest of the world can really learn, because I mean, here we have serious poverty here as well, and the way that people share their resource is amazing. Like people will literally, we get into the small little tribe, and they would go and buy like a packet of biscuits and a 2-liter Coca-Cola, and they would literally like share what they have. And that's basically maybe like 2 days worth of food for them in reality. And they would just like share this with you and share a meal with you, and people are open like that. So you'll find a lot of love here.
I was at a fundraiser for a nonprofit here at Brentwood Baptist, Blake, about 10 minutes away. And my wife is part of the nonprofit organization, so I was there supporting her. And they had a guest who had grown up in Africa, and I forget which country, but he told a story about how he went to get, he went to get water, and he had to walk about an hour to get water every day for his family. Then he had to walk it back. And he said one time he was walking back and it was dusk, and he turned around and there were 3 hyenas slowly but surely walking behind him, and terrified for his life because these animals could decide to eat him, to destroy him. And so he began singing For I Know That My Redeemer Lives by Nicole Mullen. And he said, I prayed that song as I sang it out loud as I walked home. And when I got close to home, I turned around and the hyenas were gone. And as he's telling this story, there was a woman sitting at one of the tables at the fundraiser with tears in her eyes because she was Nicole Mullen, who wrote that song.
And she wrote it for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was so cool to hear that story. And the woman who wrote that song got to hear how it affected somebody in Africa. Like, that was such a cool moment to see the global church coming together under one spirit for an incredible connection.
Meanwhile, the hyenas were like, dinner and a show.
I know. They're like, I like this song. I'm not hungry anymore, but
they were filled by the bread of the Spirit.
Estian, can you think of any ways that the American church can kind of wrap their mind around how can we support the global church? How can we specifically think about, supporting our brothers and sisters at churches in Africa and around the world? Because we don't realize how blessed we are with resources and people and production levels that we just forget that it's not normal in the rest of the world.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's already a lot of amazing churches out there doing amazing things for Africa and our continent and what we're busy with. And so, I mean, we actually part of the global leadership movement as well. So we have that here. I've been part of some of those movements, and I mean, they go right out through Africa and equip people with the right resource and stuff. So, I mean, it's always one of those things where, we can always use help, whether it's equipment or, sharing some resource and just being, just heading this way, maybe just to come here and experience it. I mean, that in itself will be an amazing eye opener and a lot of help, and just, I think, that's what I can say for now. But I mean, really just to spend the time and maybe make the effort to come here. I mean, if you look at the rand versus the dollar, it's quite rough. I mean, $1 is about 16 rand. So it every little bit helps. And if people, even just contributing time, and we've had a lot of, we've had some churches that has donated some equipment, which has helped a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, because there are churches out here. I mean, we have churches, everything ranging from 10 people under a tree on a Sunday to, like I said, it could go up to like thousands, big, massive mega churches. So, I mean, if anyone ever wants to, like, get rid of some gear, just don't chuck it. Don't throw it out. Remember, there's places in Africa where they, could love, would be amazing and help them in their journey. So, So
come visit Africa, buy another seat on the plane, and just put an L Acoustics K2 speaker in it. And
just bring it.
Yeah. If the whole church did that, we can bring the PA over.
We've been trying to figure this one out for a while. Like, is there a shipping container we can fill and just send over there? Like, I don't know the logistics of that, but
there are organizations that do that. We just have to find the right connections.
Okay. Well, if you're listening to this and reach out to us. Estian, disasters happen everywhere. Sometimes you get eaten by a hyena. Sometimes you find yourself on a podcast having to talk to me and Toby. Tell us, third example, maybe you might have for us, just a moment when everything went wrong in production and how you addressed it. Maybe you had to talk to leadership afterwards. Tell us a disaster moment for you.
Man, there's multiples. I'm trying to think of the worst one of the lot. But
if any involve you having to fight a lion off to get to your sound card board. I've had a couple where I've had to literally mix front of house, do a little bit of lights and play bass at the same time.
So I've had some of those, when no one just rocks up, or there's some stomach bug running around, or something's just bad. But I've had bad moments. I've had worship leaders poop their pants on stage. I've had people get sick. I've had pastors fainting. Man, I've had a bit of everything, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's with the tech stuff. We like I said, we kind of fight against the elements. We've had for the longest time, we've had major power issues in South Africa. So we would have load shedding where they'd literally just cut the power at any given moment. So, I mean, we've had church in the dark. But there's multiples. I can't think of one right now, to be exact. But yeah, I've had some worship leaders poop their pants, which is pretty serious. It's made me laugh, and you can just see in the faces, they're like, it's getting very serious now.
They had too much American food, clearly. Now, tech is a support role, so how much support did you have to provide them excavating their pants?
Man, for miracles, you need to ask Jesus. I'm just a guy in the back kind of pushing the buttons, and the rest, that's all up to him, man. You need to deal with that nonsense yourself. But that's
the difference in the American and African church. In Africa, they're pooping their pants on stage. In America, we had a person they said their worship pastor's pants were too tight. And then there was ones that were too short. So they had to drive to their house and get new pants for their worship pastor because it was inappropriate on stage. So,
Man, I've had that too. The bulge at the front. Come on, dude. It's like you've got 2,800 people you're sitting looking, and the stage is high, and they're looking straight at your, So yeah, I've had that too. It's pretty interesting, but it's again, there's too many to mention. I don't want to embarrass anyone right here. So.
It's in these moments.
Me, I've got the power.
In these moments, it's really hard to keep. It's hard to keep Sundays running. It's when homeboy's got his tight pants on here. Whether they're full in the front or the back. How do we keep Sundays running? So, can you give us any practical advice on how you keep Sundays running in your church?
Man, it's just kind of just sticking to the game plan. Just being there for volunteers, to support them as much as you possibly can, and to make them feel safe. I think that's the biggest thing for me is just to make everyone feel safe. I mean, they in a lot of. I found a lot of volunteers, and especially in some of the bigger churches. I mean, it's a big PA. It's a lot of power. It's a lot of responsibility, and we kind of sometimes, I think, as tech guys that do it every day, and you kind of forget that first time that you stood in front of a massive
Soundcraft, because it's the only console.
Soundcraft or whatever it is, and you've got a lot of power at that point. And I think my advice to any production manager would be just to make people feel safe as possible. I mean, and that they'll return the favor, and they'll look after you as well, and walk the extra mile and that. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. Yeah, it's just to make people feel safe and at home, and that they're part of something. Because I've found a lot of guys. I've found youngsters that has come to me. I had a guy work in church, which we started before I did, but he was a young guy. And he didn't fit in anyway. He didn't want to go to youth. He just didn't fit. And today he's one of the LDs on Eurovision.
Wow.
It's and probably the top lighting engineer in South Africa. And we've had stuff like that come over of church. So yeah, just take the time, spend time with people, love them, and make them feel safe. That's it. That's my 10 cents.
Love it.
Nice. Well, one of the ways you can make your people feel safe is getting them a Keep Sundays Running kit, Toby.
Yes.
And
Tell me, Blake.
If you're listening to this episode in April, you can enter in for a Keep Sundays Running kit, which will have some production goodies, have some church gear goodies.
Yep. It's one of our 2 biggest sales of the year. Everything at church gear is wildly discounted. So, and even if you're in South Africa, we ship all over the world. So get your gear right now, and also enter to win what?
a Keep Sundays Running kit, which again will help you keep Sundays running. And Toby's not wrong. This is a pretty deep discount this month. I had to twist both of Toby's arms behind his back to get this discount. So take advantage of it. It won't last for long.
And are we going to put that lion spray in the kits too? So if lions are chasing you on Sunday, it'll keep you running.
I was going to put a sword, but yeah, this will help you keep Sundays running. Estian, thank you for joining us on the Church Gear podcast. Brought to you by House Right. Man, we really appreciate you joining us. Is there anything you want to plug? Anywhere you want to point people towards? You've pointed us towards Soundcraft and Lions and Tigers and Bears. Anywhere else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, man. I mean, if you guys ever need any advice, we have a great team at Planet World. We would love to serve you guys and help you guys get to the right equipment and whatever you need to make your church run and to get the right solution to you, and also to support you and train you in whatever you need. So yeah, man, if you ever need anything, please get in touch with us. Just Planet World South Africa. That's it.
Love it.
That'll be great. Come see us.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.
All right, Blake. So I'm just now imagining, I think I'm going to drug you and have you wake up in South Africa, and you're going to be covered in honey, and you'll be surrounded by hungry lions. How do you feel about that?
As long as I get a sword and God will save me just like he did Daniel, then I'm good.
Sure. But you like honey, right?
I do like honey, but you know what I love more than honey, Toby?
What?
The Church Gear podcast.
Oh, man.
So people should share a jar of honey and this episode with a friend and say, pour this over your body and then listen to this episode.
And if you find yourself being harassed by a hungry lion, can you cover yourself with the Church Gear podcast to protect yourself?
Nope. You should sing that song that one chick made.